Hi, welcome to my very first knitting podcast. I'm Allison, but my friends call me Hattie, and I'm a knitter in the Pacific Northwest. I hope you'll stick around to find out more about me and this community, and so that I can get to know you a little bit better. Welcome! Welcome back. So, I started knitting about 2.5 years ago when I was pregnant with my second child. I was looking for something that was fun and engaging and would keep my hands busy with all those long days with a cute newborn. And I found a kit on Etsy from Sunny Day Fibers, which is out of Portland, Oregon, and I bought a little beanie kit. It was really cute. I had to undo it about 3 times because I didn't know how to fix my mistakes. And now that I'm looking back at it, it's full of yarn overs. It's full of unintentional drop stitches and things like that. But it was a really fun first experience, and I just wanted to keep trying and do different things. So after my first initial baby projects, I decided the next thing I should try were socks, believe it or not. And I saw some sock kits that were showing up on my algorithm on my social media, and I purchased a subscription to the sock kits. And luckily they had really great video tutorials. But of course, those first pair of socks were also full of yarn overs, and I know ribbing is all off center, or I just kept messing up the knit 2 purl 2 on the ribbing. But it was really fun because I used DPNs for the first time, which are double pointed needles, and I just couldn't get over how wild my socks looked while I was knitting them, and with all the different points coming out in different areas. And it was really cool and exciting that I could create something from string and pointy sticks. And so I was definitely really intrigued and hooked, and the sock subscription came every month, and I definitely couldn't keep up with it every month with taking care of a newborn and also being a very new knitter, but it was really fun to see the new patterns and the different things that I could do. And I was learning a lot about knitting through that process of those socks subscriptions. After that, I was definitely all in. I started knitting hats and headbands and different accessories for my family and myself. And then by December 2022, I got my first kit to make a sweater and knit it all flat and seamed it together. And it was really exciting to have something that I could wear that I knit myself. And this was history. So then, as I became more immersed in the knitting world, I found that there was this whole rabbit hole that I could just tumble down into of the knitting world on the internet. I was looking at Knitstagram and Ravelry, and all these different designers were coming up for me, and I was just getting more and more excited, and my queue of things I wanted to knit was getting longer and longer. And then I found YouTube podcasts, and I was like, whoa, I can just watch videos of other knitters all the time. And it was really great. And I knew when I first started knitting, I was trying to get away from being on my phone, but then watching these YouTube videos, I was like fully immersed in this world. And I quickly realized that my real life friends and family did not care about the knitting world as much as I did. My husband knows far more than he wants to about Andrea Mowry and mosaic knitting and all sorts of other things about knitting that he just doesn't care that much about. And so I really want to find my knitting community here on the internet. And so that's part of why I wanted to start this channel. I wanted a space for me to talk about what I'm working on, but also to find out what other people are working on and to have conversations about it. I want to know, what are you nerding out about? So I hope that you will not only like this video and subscribe to my channel, but also chime in the comments. Tell me what you're working on. And I hope that we can really get this conversation started. So for today's video, it's going to be like a traditional knitting podcast. I'm going to talk about some finished objects, some works in progress, and some future plans. But in the future, I really want to talk about what you're working on too. If you would comment down below, what pattern are you working on? What yarn are you using? Then hopefully I can highlight those comments in my next video and we can start the discussion about what's popular in the knitting world right now, not just what's hot now on Ravelry, but what is this community working on and what are we really excited about? Before I get into my finished objects, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm wearing today. This is the Harvey Wallbanger sweater. It's by Thea Coleman and it is knit flat in pieces. It's a striped and lacework pattern and it's really fun. I made it out of Magpie Fibers Nest, which is a worsted yarn, superwash merino, and it is kind of warm and thick, but it's a cool day today in the Pacific Northwest, so I thought it would be a perfect thing to wear, and it's nice to wear a handmade item on my first podcast. So for my first finished object, I am showing you off my socks. As I mentioned earlier, I am an avid sock knitter. It was one of the first things I learned how to knit, and I really enjoy knitting socks. So this year in 2024, I decided to sign up for the Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad, and they send me a full skein and a mini skein of sock yarn every month. And it's been a really fun challenge to try to finish a pair of socks every month, along with all the other things that I want to knit. And they have a really great Ravelry forum where you can post your finished objects each month, and that's great motivation to keep me excited and timely in my finishing of my socks. So also this year in August, Summer Lee, who is a wonderful sock designer, she has come out with the Colorwork Cuff Club, and you buy the pattern once, and then every month there's an update that comes out on your Ravelry, and it has a new colorwork design for that month. Most of them are just like on the cuff part, but the one in September also had an option for all over colorwork, so that's what I made. I used the full skein, which was this dark brown color, as my main color. And then the mini skein was the light brown color. And then the lime neon greenish color was something I had in stash, but it was really fun to use. I made these cuffs really short because I knew I only had a mini skein of the light brown color, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough for both of my socks, which, if you can see, I didn't. I ran out of yarn like the last couple repeats of the pattern, and luckily I had some similar color yarn in my stash, and I don't think you can really tell when you're wearing them, so I think it's fine. But these socks are knit with, I love using DPNs. It's what I learned on. So I usually will use size 1 DPNs, which is 2.25 millimeters. And but Summer Lee suggests when you're doing color work on your socks in small circumference, you size up a needle. So I'll use a size 2, and you use a 9-inch circular because it's just easier to keep your tension the same when you're just going around in a circle and not switching from needle to needle to needle like you would in DPNs or Magic Loop. So that's what I did. I did DPNs for my cuff and my heel and my toe, and then the rest I used the 9-inch circulars, and size 2 I think is 2.75 millimeters. And this is an Afterthought heel, which I don't really love Afterthought heels. I've knit a couple of them and I feel like they just are pretty tight to get on my foot. My daughter actually really likes Afterthought heels when I knit her socks because she says it just like is very snug and stays in place. But I prefer a heel flapping gusset when I'm making socks for myself. But I think when you're doing all over color work like this, Afterthought heel really makes sense. So anyways, this is a really fun pair of socks that I really like, and it is at least my 9th pair of the year. I'm not sure if I've knit more than one in a month, but I've at least knit one every month. I'll have to go back and look. So that's my first finished object. So my second finished object, I actually don't have it with me anymore. I gave it to a friend today. I saw her at a picnic. But let me tell you the story about that because it wasn't meant for her in the first place. But my second finished object is the Penguino, which I will post a picture of. The Penguino is the children's version of the Penguono, which is designed by Stephen West. And it is a modular knit jacket, kind of oversized boxy jacket that you knit in different sections, but it's all seamless. You're just picking up stitches as you go along and knitting the different sections. And it's really, really fun to knit. And ever since I had my son, I have really wanted to make him a Penguino. I just always thought he would be adorable in it. And now that I've been doing the Sock Squad, I have so much extra fingering weight yarn that I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to use scraps because one of the best ways to knit the Penguino is to hold 2 strands of fingering weight double, and it's great if they're different colors. You can marl them together and really create some unique designs and color effects in your garment. And so I used all my scrap yarn for this project, and well, not all of it. I used my scrap yarn. I still have a lot of scrap yarn left, which is a good thing because I knit the toddler size. My son is 2, and I knit the toddler size, which was 1 to 2-year-old. And my son is giant. He is like the 97th percentile tall in height. And so it's very short on him, and it fits him fine around the chest and shoulders and arms, but it's very short. So it's not going to work. So I found a friend who has a more petite child than I do, and she is also a knitter. So I'm sure they will enjoy wearing this little adorable sweater. I used size 6 needles, which is 4mm needles, and I got the DK weight gauge, which was 18 stitches for 4 inches. And anyways, I just think it was really adorable, super fun to knit. Everything you're doing is different, especially when you knit small children items. I feel like it just goes by so fast and it's super engaging. It took me 10 days to knit it, and I was just really enthralled the whole time and just picking out the colors and figuring out what's going to happen next and doing these interesting construction things like the welts on the sides in the back. It was just a lot of fun. And so I am definitely going to make another one in probably the 4 to 6-year-old size for my giant 2-year-old. And hopefully that will fit him. I'll keep you updated on the progress of that. All right, next is my works in progress. As it is the end of September when I'm filming this, I have already finished my socks, so I don't have any socks on the needles. All I have right now is one hat, and that is the Iris hat, which I am holding in this lovely bag that I sewed myself. It's one of the few things I've ever sewn, but it works really good for me. And this is my hat progress so far. This is the Iris hat by Sari Nordlund. And basically what it is you top down. We started with like a circular cast on, and it is 1x1 ribbing all the way down. It's going to be triple folded brim once I'm done with it. So I'm going to do a lot more knitting to make it that long. But what I was really excited about with this hat was the yarn that I'm making it out of, which you can see is just this really gorgeous multicolored iridescent yarn. And that is by Ocean Fibers. I think it's Ocean Knits and Fibers out of Astoria, Oregon. So I went to Flock Fiber Festival in Seattle in August, and Ocean Fibers was one of the vendors there, and I have seen her yarn before, and it's always been so beautiful. But this time I was looking at it, and I fell in love with this colorway called Tidal Pools. And let me just show you how, I hope this shows up really well. But this color is just so multifaceted, beautiful, and iridescent. And I just really loved it, especially on the mohair. And I picked it up several times while I was in her booth, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I would do with this. It's, I don't know what would translate these beautiful colors in a way that I would like to wear it. And so I put it down. Well, that night I was sleeping in our hotel, and I just dreamt about this yarn. And so the next morning we went back to Flock. It was the last day, and I went and I picked it up. And then I also picked up this skein called Plankton Mandala, which is also gorgeous, but it's like more of a white neutral tone with some pinks and blues in it. And so I'm pairing it with that, and I've got these great two colors. And this is the Plankton Mandala is 100% superwash merino in a fingering weight. And so paired together, it makes this really pretty colors. And I'm just really happy and excited with the way it's turned out. I was knitting on it today while I was outside, and somebody came up to me and was like, oh my gosh, I need to look at this yarn. This yarn is incredible. And it really is. And I'm just so excited to have this as something that I get to wear. And hopefully I can wear it to Astoria soon, because Ocean Knits and Fibers just opened a brick and mortar in downtown Astoria. And I'm really excited for them, because the shop looks really cool, and all of their yarn is just very magnificent. It's just all different kinds of bright colors, or like colors inspired by the ocean. And I don't know, it's a great place to have as a location, because Astoria, if you don't know, is like right on the northernmost corner of Oregon, and it's where the Columbia River meets the Pacific Ocean, and it's just a great place to have a knitting shop, I think. So I'm excited to go and visit that when I can. But I think she will be also at Sacred Sheep in Portland in November, so I will definitely be seeing them there. So that's all my works in progress right now, and hopefully I will also be casting on some new things soon. So now it's time for my future plans. The first thing that I have planned is also something that I picked up at Flock Fiber Festival in Seattle, and that is the Polly cardigan by Savory Knitting, also known as Amy Christoffers. So the Polly cardigan is a worsted weight mosaic knitted cardigan with like a quilt star pattern on it, and it is really gorgeous. I knit Savory Knitting's Pressed Flowers cardigan a few years ago, and it is my most worn knit. I am just so in love with it, and it was also really fun to make. And so I'm excited to cast on the poly cardigan because I think that I'm just going to really enjoy that process and have a lovely finished object to wear in the colder winter months. Because it's worsted weight mosaic knitting, I think it is going to be quite squishy and warm. So I think it'll be really great to have when it's cooler out. So the colors I chose for that, I'm using the yarn that she designed it in, which is Spin Cycle's Dream State, and also Spinster's Daughter, which is a collab between Spin Cycle and Farmer's Daughter Fibers. So in the Spinster's Daughter, Spin Cycle spins the yarn, and Farmer's Daughter dyes it. And so they spin it in Washington and dye it in Montana. And the color I chose was the color York. And it's this really great deep emerald green color. And I don't have any knits this color, so I'm excited to have that. So that's going to be the main color. And then for the contrast color, you use one of Spin Cycle's Dream State, which is one of their color changing yarns. And I chose Shades of Earth. And it was great picking it out at the at Flock Fiber Festival because I could really choose the skeins that were speaking to me. If you've used Spin Cycle in the past, sometimes they could be wildly different. So if you care about color management or that type of thing, or making sure your multiple skeins match, it's great to be able to see it and hold them in person and see how they sync up with each other. So I thought this is kind of a low contrast but dark and moody kind of look to my sweater, and I'm excited to put that together. And it will be like nothing else that I have right now. So that's good too, because I like to have a variety of things in my wardrobe. So that is future project number 1. Okay, so for my next future project, I also got this at Flock Fiber Festival, and this is Big Birdie by Diamond Lane, which is owned by the Lamb and Kid, which is a shop on Bainbridge Island outside of Seattle. And they have a really cute beret called the Lolly Beret that Lamb and Kid designed. And it uses Big Birdie, which is an Aran weight gauged Surrey alpaca. It's 79% alpaca and 21% silk. And you knit it up. I think it's going to be a pretty quick knit because it's an Aran weight gauge in a beret. But I think this will be just the coolest, like bright pinkish red beret to wear in the wintertime. It'll also be nice and warm because of that alpaca. And the color is called beret. So this is the exact color that they designed it with. And I was just sold. When I went to the Lamb and Kids booth at Flock, they had the beret displayed, and I was like, yes, I need to knit that. My daughter loves to wear berets. She's 8, and she has a few that she loves to wear, and one of them I knit, and it'll be cute to wear a beret with her. She likes to match. So I'm excited to have my own beret. And yeah, that's all about that. My last future plan is my October sock, which I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I know I will knit some socks in October. And I just got the yarn yesterday from Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad. So this color is called The Borrowers. And if I can, I will insert a picture of the illustration that inspired it. But it's got some blue and brown. And I think I'll see what Summerlee's color work cuff club is going to be for October, and if this will go with it or not. If not, I'll find another pattern that I like, but I'm excited to knit this up in October as well. So in this last part of my knitting podcast, this is where I will have our little knit along community chat, and this is where you come in. I've mentioned it a couple times already, but I would love for you to comment below what you're currently working on. What are your whips? Do you have any future plans? What yarn are you loving right now? What's something that you just think is so fascinating about the knitting world? And just comment any of those things down below, and we will start having a discussion. I would love to highlight these comments in my next video, and I hope that you get excited to be part of this community, because that's really what I wanted this to be. I liked talking about knitting. I could sit in front of my camera and talk to nobody about it, but really I want to have a conversation with all of you. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you like it, and I hope you look out for the next one and see if I mention your comment in there. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I know there are so many different podcasts out there, but I'm really glad that you chose to be part of this one, and I hope that you have a great day. Thanks. Happy knitting. Thanks so much for watching. Links to everything I talked about will be in the description below.